الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be on the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and on all those who follow the path of righteousness until the last day. The topic of this afternoon's presentation is that of patience from the Islamic perspective. What is the Islamic perspective on patience? And why do we even focus on this as a lecture, or the basis of a lecture? Why would we focus on this? It is mainly because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has stressed patience in so many verses of the Quran, where Allah tells us, فَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. When you are facing difficulties, anything in life, we should rely on sabr, patience, and salah. And Allah has also told us in the Quran, where Allah stressed what we will face in this life. In Surah Al-Baqarah, He said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ فَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. That I will test you, I will try you with fear, hunger, loss of wealth, loss of life, and loss of the fruits of your labor. But give glad tidings to those who are patient. And He goes on to say, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, those who, when a trial befalls them, قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. They say, we belong to Allah, and to Him we must return. Now this phrase, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, is something we know is said when somebody dies. This is when we hear it. As soon as you hear somebody say that, you say, who died? This is what you ask. But Allah didn't say in the Quran, when people die, that's when you say it. Yes, when somebody dies, that is a trial, that is a test. So it is among the times to say it. But it is on any occasion that there is a loss. As Allah mentioned, even loss of wealth. Somebody stole your money. You say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Rather than curse that individual. I mean, this is our normal reaction. Somebody steals your money, you start cursing. May Allah, destroy you, destroy your family, your home, whatever. This is how we tend to react. But Allah tells us, no. This is the time to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So Allah has put patience in this special category, saying in conclusion that those, when He said فَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, Bashir meaning good, give glad tidings or good news to those who are patient. What is that glad tiding and good news? It's Jannah. That the reward for patience ultimately is Jannah. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, he said, وَمَا أُعْتِيَ أحد عطاء خيرا وأوسع من الصبر. No one has been given a better and more extensive gift than patience. So obviously it is something which is held in high esteem, is held as praiseworthy, important in a Muslim's life. Patience. The opposite of patience, in Arabic it's called shakwa, complaint. But that complaint could be to Allah or complaint to people. Now, complaint to Allah, this is what is required of us. As Prophet Yaqub said when he heard about the bad news concerning Yusuf, his son, إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله. I only complain of my distressful and saddening situation to Allah. He is the one to whom I complain. That form of complaint is ibadah. So that does not contradict patience. In fact, it is an expression of patience. That rather than allow this trial that I'm faced with to destroy me, to cause me to do what is displeasing to Allah, I will just take my sadness, my suffering to Him, because He is the only one ultimately that can relieve me of that suffering. So, patience is not contradicted by complaint to Allah. It is enhanced by complaint to Allah. The other form of complaint, where we complain to people, that's the one that contradicts patience. Where whenever we suffer anything, we're complaining to those around us. So and so did this, that happened to me, why was this? This complaining nature that we as human beings tend to exhibit in most times of trial, to complain to those around us, those who can do nothing. There's a difference between complaining to someone to fix something and complaining seeking their sympathy. See, this is the negative one, where we're looking for sympathy from the people around us, or we're trying to turn those people around us against someone else because we have suffered something from them. This is when it becomes negative, it becomes evil. But if we raise our issues to those in authority who can correct it, then this is legitimate. This is reasonable. It's not a must. We have the option to just accept the trial and carry on, or to try to do something about it. That is permissible, and it doesn't contradict patience, because it is our right to get what is due to us. That is our right. Now, patience is needed first and foremost in worshiping Allah. Patience in worshiping Allah. One might question, is worshiping Allah a calamity that we need patience to deal with it? No. But it is something we are required to do. And if we don't have the right attitude towards it, then we treat it like a calamity, something we wish would go away. In order to be patient while worshiping Allah, first and foremost, we need to worship Him regularly. To be regular in our prayers. Praying on time. Not praying some days. Most of our prayers at night. You have some people who save up all their daily prayers and pray all 5 of them at night. Before they go to bed, they say, okay, I have 5 to do, let me do these 5. That's a person who has no patience. Or you pray 2-3 prayers today, tomorrow you might pray 1 prayer, the day after you might pray 4, and irregular. This is not the worship which was prescribed by Allah. When Allah told us, أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ لِذِكْرِ, establish the prayer for my remembrance, He spoke about regular prayer, not whenever we feel like it. Regular prayer, in order that we would remember Allah. See, if we are irregular in our prayer, then it means sometimes we'll remember Allah, sometimes we won't remember Allah. And the goal is that we should be constantly, throughout our lives, remembering Allah. Being conscious of Allah in whatever we do or say. The second principle that needs to be there for us to be patient in worshipping Allah is that we do it sincerely. That the worship is sincere. If it's insincere, then it is for other than Allah. We're worshipping because our fathers say you better worship. Or your community says you should be worshiping. So if we worship because of people, then when people are not around, we won't worship. It's as simple as that. We'll worship sometimes, we won't worship other times. We cannot be regular in our prayer. If we're worshiping for people, we'll end up missing prayers, etc. Because it's not sincere. And Allah has told us that the sincerity is the essence of true worship. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. We're only commanded to worship Allah, making the religion sincere for Him. That is real worship. If sincerity is not there, then it's not real worship. It's ritual, it's custom, it's tradition, but it's not worship. Now, worship can be a part of ritual, custom, and tradition, but ritual, custom, and tradition which is not sincere is no longer worship. It's no longer worship. We might think it's worship because that's what our parents did, that's what our relatives do, that's what everybody else around us do. They do worship as a ritual and a tradition. But you must know that that kind of worship is not acceptable to Allah. It is not true worship. There must be sincerity. That we're truly doing it for the sake of Allah, for Allah's pleasure. Because we know that it will be the first thing that will be asked about on the Day of Judgment. We know that it will make the difference between heaven and hell. We know that it will instill in us a consciousness of Allah. And as a result of it, we will be better people. We will do the right thing when the right thing is needed. Thirdly, patience is needed in worshiping Allah with knowledge. If we don't worship Allah with knowledge, then we can end up worshiping His creatures. What happened to Christianity and Christians? Without knowledge, they became ad-dallun. And we seek refuge from being in their state with each one of our prayers. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. The Prophet ﷺ explained that ad-dallin are those who follow what we know of as Christianity today. They worship Prophet Isa, Jesus, as God. And that is based on lack of knowledge. If they sought out the knowledge properly, with an open heart, etc., Allah would show them that this belief, this understanding is false. It is the opposite of what Prophet Isa called them to. Prophet Jesus himself worshipped Allah. So the first question you should ask your Christian friends, if you manage to get into some discussion about religion with them, and you should discuss with them, the first question that you should ask them was, who was Jesus worshiping? Maybe you might want to ask them before that, in case there is a doubt in their mind, did Jesus worship? They know he did, but maybe some of them don't know. But it is there in the Gospels, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus fell down on his face, making sujood, and prayed to God. They know this, most of them. So after they've said, okay, yes, he did pray. So then you ask him, because they say he is God, right? You say to them, well, you do believe that Jesus is God, right? Because there are some Christians who don't. Very few, they are considered to be deviants. You know, people like the Jehovah's Witness, the Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists. These three groups, they don't believe that. But they are not considered to be Christians by the main body of Christians. So you ask them, you do believe Jesus is God, right? That's your belief? They say, yeah. Oh, yeah. Jesus was God. God the Son. Says, okay. So if Jesus is God, who was he worshipping? This is the big question. They say you're worshipping God the Father, but you said God the Father is God the Son. Because remember, it's three gods in one, right? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Ghost, three gods in one. That's what they say. Three gods in one. So how can the Son, who is the Father, worship himself. This is nonsense. Confusion. This is not religion, this is confusion. So, how did that come about? It came about from a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge. False knowledge presented to them. They didn't have true knowledge, so they ended up worshiping God as a man. And they're not the only ones. There are others who have done the same in other parts of the world. And I was shocked, personally, when I visited Dakar, Senegal, during the political crisis. I visited Dakar. When I was there and I was traveling around with some of my Senegalese friends who were taking me around the city, showing me different things, they showed me a poster of an individual and they said, you know, this man, people believe he is God and they worship him as God. So we actually have Muslims who have reached that state of ignorance, that they would worship a man as God. That's the first time I came across that. The Hindus, of course, they have that. They have what are known as the avatars. You heard of avatar. Avatar means God incarnate. Sai Baba from South India, he had 8 million followers believing that he was God. So this happens. Of course, they have God as a cow. You know, they have an elephant head God, Ganesh. They have the monkey god, Hanuman. That's why they have all kinds of things. But this is what happens when you don't have knowledge of who God is, then you can end up worshiping the wrong God. So for you to be patient in your worship, you must have knowledge. Knowledge has to be there. Also, patience is needed in abstaining from wrong actions, from doing haram, what is forbidden. That also requires patience. That's why the Prophet ﷺ had said, no one was given a better and more vast gift from Allah than patience. Now, patience in abstinence from wrong actions can be one because of fear of punishment. People do it out of fear of punishment. If you don't have a consciousness of Allah, then of course you're not going to fear punishment. So you will do wrong actions. You might not do it out of fear of punishment from the society, but that, of course, is not considered to be patience. That's just considered to be slyness. You're sly. When the authorities are around, you're a good guy. When the authorities are not around, you're a bad guy. So that's not patience. And that quality has become widespread in society. So much so that it has become a work ethic. The cat and mouse game. When the boss is around, you work hard. Everybody sees you working hard. When the boss goes, you lay back, you relax. No need to work hard anymore. And as students of medicine, of course, the same challenge will be in front of you. You can either be a dedicated doctor or nurse who does the best they can all the time, as long as they're humanly able, or you can be the one who does his best when he's dealing with a patient who is a big person. But when he's dealing with a lowly patient, a nobody, then he just treats them neglectfully. He doesn't give them proper checks, etc. He just looks at them, makes a prescription, okay, go. No tests, no nothing, checking blood pressure or anything, just like that. This has to do with faith. If we believe in Allah, then we will do our best at all times. We understand that ultimately, if we don't do our best, we are cheating others, and we will be punished for it. So it's also fear of punishment. But a fear of punishment which drives us to be good at all times. Because there's no time that Allah is not present. It's different with when you're dealing with your boss, your supervisor, your manager. He's around sometime, not around other times. So you have room for the cat and the mouse. When the cat is away, the mice will play. You have that. But Allah is never away. So because of that consciousness, fear of His punishment here is a good thing which causes us to abstain from wrong actions. The other driving force for the believer is shyness or shame. Shyness, knowing that this is displeasing to Allah to do it, knowing that it's displeasing to Him, we avoid it. We feel shy. Just as, in a sense, you become shy when you're in front of your parents. There are certain things you'll do when your parents are not around. But if your parents are right in front of you, watching you, and you know they're watching you, you'll be shy to do certain things. We all experience that. Now that type of shyness is still the cat and mouse. The one with Allah, shyness before Allah, this is the highest level of faith. That we feel shy to abuse what Allah has given us. Whether it's our eyesight, our hearing, our speech, our ability to do what we do with our hands, where our feet can take us, all of this, these are blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To abuse these blessings by using them in things which are displeasing to Allah, this is something we should feel shy to do. And if we have that shyness, that shame, then it will make us better people. In terms of patience at times of trial, and this is the time when most people think in terms of patience, when a trial has occurred, As Allah said, I will try you with fear and hunger. We can be patient at that time if we think of the reward that Allah has promised. He promised paradise. فَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. He promised paradise for those who are patient. So by thinking of the good reward, being conscious of paradise, then inshallah it will give us patience in those times of trial. And that's why it's very important, whenever you're planning, as you're planning, you're training, you're studying here, you have goals that you have set for yourself. You want to end up a doctor or a nurse or whatever. And being a doctor or a nurse will enable you to provide for your family, to build a family, etc. To have a good life for yourself. You have that as a motivating force. You look at your future, so that keeps you connected and working to try to achieve it. And truly, if you don't have a goal, then you're not going to get there. It is important to have goals that you can plan for and work towards. Because as they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you don't have a plan to achieve that goal, you probably most likely will not reach that goal. So it is important. But then we as Muslims have to know what in fact is our goal in life. That goal ultimately should be for us as Muslims paradise. That should be our goal. So if we keep paradise in mind, whenever we're doing anything, saying anything, we ask ourselves, is this going to help me get to paradise? Or is this going to stop me? Is this going to be a hurdle? Is it going to be a hindrance for me to get to paradise? We judge things, whether we do them or we don't do them, according to that principle. What is to come? Will we achieve that goal? If we use that, then inshallah it will help us to be patient in times of trial. So we think about the reward to come. The other thing to keep in mind with regards to patience in times of trial, how to be patient, is to think that whatever trial we are facing, it will come to an end. There's a time of ease which will come, and Allah promised it. Inna ma'al usri yusra. He told us, with every difficulty comes a time of ease. And He repeated it, stressing, for sure, with every difficulty there will come ease. So as long as we can keep that in mind, then it will be easier for us to bear the trial that we're faced with at that moment in time. And we should understand, ultimately, that patience in adversity, and that's the time of trial and difficulty, etc., that's the one we were just talking about, is easier than patience in the times of ease. Most people don't even think about patience in the times of ease. We just think of patience in the time of adversity. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he told us that patience in the time of ease and in the time of adversity is what distinguishes the believer from the rest of creation, which makes him or her unique. And he said in a very famous hadith concerning this issue of patience in times of difficulty and ease, he said, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. The affair of the believer is amazing. إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ خَيْرٌ. All of his or her affair is good. إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاء شَكَرْ وَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. If good comes to him or her, they are thankful to Allah, and it's good for them. That is patience in the times of ease. They are thankful to Allah. They appreciate, they are conscious of Allah. وَإِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ ضَرَّاء. And if evil befalls him or her, if bad times come, صَبَرْ وَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. He is patient, and it is good for him or her. This is the description that the Prophet ﷺ gave of the true believer and what makes him or her amazing. Times of ease, he spoke about that first. Being grateful in times of ease. As we said, that is much more difficult than being patient in times of adversity and difficulty. Patience in the times of ease is most difficult because it is at this time we easily forget Allah. We're so happy. We got what we wanted, we got what we were striving for, etc. We got it, we're so happy, we're just delirious with happiness. And we forget Allah. What did the Prophet ﷺ do when that good came to him? First thing he did was sujood. He prostrated. Sujood al-shukr. That was his sunnah muakkada. He always used to do this. That is to keep us in the right frame of mind, to remember to thank Allah when that good comes. So we need to bring that back into our lives. I'm sure most of you don't do it, right? Huh? Who amongst you made sujood al-shukr this last week? Put your hand up, please. One hand. That tells us where we are. This is reality. This is something which is very important. We need to bring it back into our lives to be on the correct path. So, this challenge is before us to be patient. And one may ask, but the Prophet ﷺ said in the beginning that whoever has been given patience has been given this great good. Meaning they're naturally patient. How many people do you know who are naturally patient? Very few. And people might say, but that's not fair. At least that few got that patience. You know, why didn't we get it? Well, the point is that when Allah gives you something that other people don't have, then He'll give you something which other people have. You know, He'll put that as a trial for you. That okay, maybe you might be patient, you have this patience, but you know, you are not loving. For example, you're not a loving person. But being a loving person is also a huge reward behind it. As the Prophet ﷺ had said, Man la yarham, la yurham. Whoever is not merciful, loving of people, looking out for other people, will not find mercy from Allah So it means it's very serious. So though you have this patient thing, which is beautiful, wonderful, you got another trial. So Allah is fair. And the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us how to be patient. If we haven't, like most people, been given patience. That is the last point. Inshallah, we're ending the lecture. He said, وَمَن يَتَصَبَّرْ يُصَبِّرْهُ اللَّهُ. Very simple. وَمَن يَتَصَبَّرْ يُصَبِّرْهُ اللَّهُ. What does that mean? It means that if you pretend to be patient, you're not patient. But you pretend to be patient. You strive to be patient. At least externally, everybody sees you as patient. Even though inside yourself, you're ready to explode. Some people might say, that's hypocrisy. No, no. This is the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. You pretend to be patient. Eventually, it will become natural. In the beginning, it was pretense. But the more you do it, the more the pretense goes, and it becomes a natural way for you until it becomes your habit. And everybody can do that. So it is possible for everybody to attain it, but we have to work for it. We have to strive for it. We have to gain it. And as we said, the reward is so great. The ultimate reward is paradise. None of us should consider this below us, not worth making time and effort for. We should know ultimately that this each and every believer, every Muslim must strive for, must achieve, because there is no way to paradise without it. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Seeking knowledge and obligation made easy. Thought about studying for a long time? Tuition fees keeping you from actually starting? Islamic Online University has led a revolution in online learning. The world's first tuition-free degree, BA in Islamic Studies. Access the knowledge, any place, anytime, anywhere. It just doesn't get any easier than that. Classes, texts, assignments, completely online. Set your own schedule for the semester. No overseas travel required for the exams. Subjects taught by qualified English-speaking scholars. Weekly live sessions in virtual classrooms. With curricula based on those in Al Madina University in Saudi Arabia, Al Azhar University in Cairo, and other reputable institutions around the world. Why wait any longer? You pay just a symbolic registration fee and are ready to begin the adventure of higher education. The most diverse student body of any university in the world. 130,000 plus registered students from 217 countries. Log in to the website for more details. www.islamiconlineuniversity.com